Good afternoon. Hope you're all well. We go through our usual checks to get us started. And we're going to get straight into scroll sawing this one here. We've got the machine set up. We've got a newish blade in there. And we're going to cut out today the Celtic inspired, well, I believe it's Celtic, the Tree of Life. So I'm just going to check that everything is on as it should be. Bear with me 2 seconds. Inspired, well, I believe. There we are. Yeah, we're all on there. Prandar Aubrey, thank you for joining us. We know the comments are all working fine. Yeah, so what we're going to do, quite a complex little design. This is one that we did recently on a bespoke Lovespoon. And it's the same procedure as always. We start off. Oh, let's notice that. That's a bit high in the holder. So the first thing I'm going to check, there you go. That's because it is slightly slipped out of the bottom holder. So there we are. It's quite unusual for the tension on the back of the Hegner to move. So if you ever notice that it does, if it's sitting slightly high on the top arm, there we are. Still needs a little bit of adjusting, just like so. There we are, that's fine. And yeah, sometimes it's that it's slipped in the bottom holder. So I'm gonna get straight into it and we're gonna cut out this design. Of course, afterwards, this one would be then hand carved. We'd add all of the leaves and the detail onto it and it would become a hanging decoration. The wood that we're using is some juniper. I believe in America you call it eastern cedar or fragrant cedar. It's got a few different names I've seen. But yeah, nice design. And a nice piece of wood to cut it out in. Who else we got? Oh, hello. We got Yelly's joined us as well. There we are. So I've got to be on best behaviour if Yelly's watching what I'm doing. So let's get straight onto it and we will cut out the Tree of Life design. So it's mask on, goggles on, and glasses on too. We'll try and get everything comfortable before we get started because we're going to be cutting for a little while. So we've started using the mask and the goggles. I know we got the visor on the goggles, but it just keeps that dust from getting into our eyes a little bit more. And away we go. Okay, so that's interesting already. We've had it where it's slipping in that bottom holder and now it's slipped in the top holder. I must be having problems with my grip today, so we'll try again. There we go, that should hold. Okay, so something's causing us a little bit of trouble here with our cutting out. So that's what it is. One piece of wood, two pieces of wood, instead of dropping away, they got stuck on the blade. So if you ever have sort of problems, if you're finding something doesn't feel quite right as you're cutting out, it's always just worth pausing and having a little look, see if you can find out whatever that issue is. Because if it doesn't feel right, chances are something is not quite right. Where I'm also having a few little issues in terms of holding it is because there's not much gap between there. It's slightly more difficult to get your hand right the way around and get the full amount of tension on. Now, as I cut this piece out as well, I'm working out what bits we're going to leave attached to the surround and which bits we're going to cut out. So I'm actually going to cut right up there initially, so we don't have to then try and come back round and then leave this piece attached. So yeah, we're just working out the process as we go along. So as you can see, we're having some genuine problems with keeping it in the holder. So instead of fussing around with it all the time, perhaps there's a little bit of grease or something on the end of this one. So let's rough up the blade a little bit. There's always a solution. We'll rough it up that way, and then we rough it up, go across the grain, turn it over, take off anything that may be on that blade, rough it up a little bit. Hopefully now we get a better grip on the blade. All simple little things to try and prevent that from carrying on. So yeah, that's what we've done there now. We just roughed up that blade. Make sure it's right in the holder, tighten it as much as we can. Let's try again. What I'm just doing now is, before I go on to the next bit, we're just taking out any little scroll saw lines that might be left over, anything we're not happy with on the cut. Right, we're happy with that now, so we're going to go on to the next cut. And what I've actually done, on the bottom of the tree of life, I'm actually going to release all of the little bits. I'm going to only leave attached the two end little roots. So the rest I'm going to actually free from the surround. So it's just a quicker way of doing all of those, as opposed to having to go in and out of each and every one, drill all of them as well. Just speeds the process along a little bit. Right, does heat humidity affect the scroll saw? I'll have a little think about that. Generally speaking, I mean, humidity definitely affects wood. You know, I can only sort of speak in terms of anecdotal, but interesting one on that front, Aubrey, is sometimes what I actually find is you'll get a day in the year, and again, perhaps it's a bit warmer, perhaps it's, I don't know, perhaps the atmosphere here is a bit drier, but all of a sudden, I mean, perhaps it's myself, but you'll have a day where you'll go and split 2 or 3 Lovespoons when you normally don't split any at all. So it definitely affects the wood. Yeah, you know, you get little changes in it. Our scroll saw, it possibly affects it. Not that I would have ever have noticed though. And then in terms of, you know, where we were having that issue with the blade, you know, what you can sometimes get is a bit of grease or something gets on there, you know, possibly affecting it. But from my own sort of experience, I would suggest that it doesn't tend to have a huge effect on it. Hoshi joined us as well. Hello, thanks for joining us. Hope all is well. This is going to be nice. Well, we hope so. Hopefully, if we don't go and mess it up. We've had a few little issues getting started where we found that the blade has been slipping a little bit. So we've spent a bit of extra time. We're spending a little bit of extra time just making sure it's nice and tight, getting that tension on there correctly. And then I've roughed up the end of the blade to get it to try and grip in the holder a little bit more effectively. The other thing as well, something may have got on the blade holders that may have affected it. I don't know, because it was the bottom one. When we started, I had to re-put the blade in that. But now, hopefully all will go well and we'll be able to cut the rest out. I'll just work out as well how many cuts we got. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So we've got 13 cuts to go. So 14 cuts altogether. And as we go along with this process, remember, any questions, any thoughts, share them with us, because it's always good to know. Let us know what you're making. Let us know what you're up to. It's always good to know what's happening as we're making the item. Right, so that's not turning yet, so we're going to have to go a little bit further. We can't get it to turn at the moment, so we're going to just refeed the blade. Try and blow out some of the dust as well, just to clear the line. There we are, a little bit of wood's come away as well. So we're going to go just a little bit deeper with the cuts and try and make life a little bit easier for cutting the detail on the roots. Okay, so I'll turn it over, check the back and see if we're happy with it. Yeah, we're pretty happy with that. If I was going to do this though, you know, we're always thinking, what's the quickest way of doing stuff? Because we're up against the clock. The more we can produce, the more items we got to sell in the workshop, the better it is. If I was doing this as a hobby, you know, and just to enjoy, then I may well spend the time to do each and every one of those routes individually. But because I'm always under that pressure of trying to get things done and produce as much as I can, it's something that we don't get a chance to do. Hope all is good. How's the weather? Hot like we are? No, it's now changed. Yeah, we've gone from the one extreme. We're back to what we're more used to. A bit of a grey day here. Yeah, it's cooled down a lot. So, but it's comfortable. So we're enjoying it, and it's nice weather for us to be doing the scroll sawing and working in. Yeah, let us know as well any projects you're working on. Always great to hear what everyone's making, and we carry on and we'll cut out this tree of life. Right, there are all sorts of different things then that you use as you're scroll sawing. So for instance there, the reason I went back over that one bit is you just notice a different smell, which is quite often a sign that it's burning slightly as it's cutting. So yeah, you use your sight, you use your smell, you use all sorts of different means and methods and ways for doing it. You use the sounds, of course. Do things sound right? Do they look right? Yeah. So we've got the bottom part of our tree done. And now we're going to proceed to separate all of these branches. Another little thing that we're doing as we're sort of cutting this out, mentioned it a couple of times before, you do improvise. So you don't sort of, the guidelines, Thomas Woodcarver's just walked in. Good afternoon. Good evening. Pranang there. Excuse me, yeah, guidelines. That's what they are, isn't it? They're there to guide you, but quite often I find that I drift a bit, you know, in terms of you have to improvise a little bit. So for instance, to leave enough wood there on the edge of the roots, to give it enough strength, I've gone more outside the line. I've just adapted it to suit as you proceed with the cutting out. Right, we have missed a few comments.
You need a couple more drill holes.
Some cool weather. No, not with the method I'm going to use.
Oh, right, I see.
Yeah, don't worry. Yeah, I know where he's coming from, but we'll do it as... Oh, Ken's joined us as well. We'll do a swap. There we are. Hoshi needs us to send him a bit of cool weather. We were saying it's cooled down a heck of a lot here, isn't it, since last week?
Yeah, much better.
Thomas Woodcarver's happier.
Yeah.
My wife, being from Barcelona, is not so happy, but yeah, it's changed dramatically. We had a bit of a typical Welsh summertime on the weekend because it rained and rained and rained. But we did have a rainbow at the end of it, which was very pretty. Okay, so let's proceed and we carry on cutting these bits out. I'm just going to pause there because if you are watching this later on the playback, you can just rewind it a bit and see how you sort of work the blade in, so you gradually build up that hole until it's thick enough that the blade will actually turn round. Just a little technique that we use, just pointing it out there for you all to see. So I'm just pausing here just to work out where we're going to cut. Yeah, okay. So that's all. Just working out in my head where we're going to cut next to get the best out of what we're doing. So once I work it out, yeah, that's fine. And off we go. What we're trying to do, see, when we're working it out in our head is what do we need to leave attached? What can we do in terms of keeping the strength of what we're cutting out? So the strength of the tree of life, carving, and then what needs to come away and what's the best way of going about it. So we're just now getting out a little piece of wood that's just attached. Here we are. We'll try and get that out with an old scroll saw blade. Here we are. We just push that block of wood away. Push it out the hole, and we can proceed onto our next scroll saw cut. Just check as well before I start up the machine, see if there's any comments that we missed out on. The carver has joined us. Hello there. Hope all is good. There we are. Where's Nico? Oh, I'm not sure. And Sammy's also joined.
Sammy's just arrived.
Yeah, there we are. Yeah, and indeed, hope everyone is doing well. Right, let's proceed and cut this one out. Now, it's at this stage, see, this is where we sort of commit ourselves to the next step. And so I'm going to come straight up here and cut all of that, because that was the decision I made down here, was to leave this attached for strength, and then to free this piece and leave that attached there. And then I'm going to free that piece, and again, we'll decide which piece up here we probably go up there, in there, and we leave that piece there attached. Whilst we're cutting out as well, as we've said to everyone else, doing your best with the carving. Yeah, be good to know what you're all working on. Let us know in the comment section what you're all making this week, any projects that are on the go, and anything that you're currently making. Again, we just turn it over, have a little look around, see how it's all coming together, get rid of any loose bits of wood if we can. And this is the thing, when you're making a piece like this, it's quite intricate in a way, I guess. You can see we just tackle it one cut at a time. You see some absolutely fascinating scroll saw projects, you know, where they build up portraits or even like landscape type pictures, and that's the thing, you just got to tackle it one cut, one step at a time. Right, turning tops like a madman, brilliant. Can I join the club? For you and me, or just no top? Yeah, I'm glad to hear you're making plenty of tops, and that's great in terms of. As you know, that item, popular, gets the interest as well from people. And if you know, we find that where we make plenty of key rings, because it's always an item where people are interested, where it generates a lot of interest.
I have a query.
Oh, Thomas Woodcarver's got a question now.
Yeah, I just wonder how people are getting on in various places.
There we are,
with the cost of living at the moment.
Right, yeah, Thomas the Woodcarver asking the question because I just noticed that. What are you cutting out there?
It's an egg cup.
Ah, there we are. New product.
New product, egg cup.
Thomas the Woodcarver's
looking at new
egg
from
cups.
old. It is. It's an old thing.
It's an old. Yeah, it's a new old product. You used to make. That was one of the first things you ever made, wasn't it?
Yeah, but I realised I didn't have the right drill and I didn't have the right
the cutter for it.
Yeah, so I
did it on the.
I've got to shelve that until a bit later.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering how people are getting on with
Well, there we are. How is everybody getting on with? Because we're finding quite.
We are producing.
We're producing more than ever, probably, in terms of
but
wooden
you're
items.
producing the same product.
Yeah.
We
Same price.
We got the same market. We kept the prices as they are, but the petrol has doubled.
Yeah. Petrol's doubled.
Price.
My electricity bill has doubled.
So how are people going to?
So
anybody that's that is part of their business and part of their, or even
absolutely.
if it's just a hobby and part of your
part of what you do, part of your lifestyle.
So whilst everything it doesn't revolve around money, obviously you have to think consciously about.
It's putting it out there. How is everybody doing? Because I mean, business-wise, we're doing okay, aren't we? But it's not the same as it was before COVID.
No, definitely not. I mean, we're speaking. One example, for instance, I'd heard it and I wasn't sure, but we had an example. A lady came in today who comes down this way into a holiday caravan.
Yeah,
and she owns the caravan. And she travels, I'm guessing, 90 miles to get to this caravan. But instead of coming every week, because of the cost of petrol and the cost of her electricity at home, she's now down to 3 and 4 weeks.
Yeah.
At a time.
Yeah. Now there's an interesting one. Aubrey's he's the first one to answer us on that one. He said that. Toronto's expensive city by Canadian standards, but he's saving less than sort of ever, in terms of. So it's more difficult to saving less money now than I used to.
Definitely.
Yeah. I mean, so it's just a matter of trying to pay the bills. And then there's a bit of a chat going on with Hoshi and the Carver about spinning tops. There you go. But it's that's our own insight. Is at the moment it is difficult times.
Is there any?
And we've got the delight of knowing that we have a new Prime Minister, and that it's going to make no difference
in the pipeline.
Whatever way they go with it. But interesting, because you're all in different parts of the world. It sounds as if everybody probably is experiencing the same sort of things as we are. I think
especially as we're making almost, you can say it's a luxury product, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a non-essential thing. I think by the sounds of it, it's a big transfer of wealth is going on in the world, isn't there? Really?
Yeah.
Right, let's get back to our tree of life. But any thoughts on all of that? Yeah, let us know. Probably not the best place to have stopped it. What's that?
Somebody saying that they'd had no orders recently.
What without it?
Saying of your friend with the sheds, you know?
Yeah, yeah. Hoshi's got to go there. Thanks for joining us though. Great to have you with us. Yeah, hope you have a great day as well. And you'll be able to see, well, hopefully what is the finished item at the end of the video, at the end of the live stream. Yeah, the carver was saying he's had no orders recently. Yeah, we'd had no inquiries up until for a little while. We did it. We've had 2 that have come in the last few days, but up until then it was very, very quiet. You know when you're working on an item and you're looking at it and you're thinking about it,
yeah,
and you can see something in terms of developing it.
Yeah.
It's interesting, isn't it? You know, we design all sorts of different things, come up with all sorts of different ideas. I got a bit of a special video. There's a few different videos coming up. I won't call it a special video because you're building it up, and then everyone will probably look at the video and go, "That's not so special." Yeah, But I got a video coming up, and it is a design with the Tree of Life. But as I'm looking at this, I can see the influence from that original design, because what I'm thinking it is a Celtic weave. Instead of doing just this standard surround, I can see that perhaps doing a Celtic weave surround.
Yeah, my only concern about that is I know I'm being very conscious about money today. It's what you're going to have to charge.
Right, for the item.
Yeah, it's okay for a personal thing.
Yeah.
It's great. It's nice.
I think that'll be
nice
really
bit of
nice.
fun.
What if I do two of them then as just a plain surround, and do one as a Celtic weave?
Yeah, but I think what you're going to do, I think you need to reprint the paper and draw it, because if you look where the line is coming down there now, that's not nice. Like,
What's that?
Well, it's not coming round. You think you're...
No, I will do, because I connect it there and I connect it there, and then I'd re-scroll saw that there. It just shows you how.
Yeah.
You
can develop as you go.
It shows you how you'll get an idea in your head, and then as we're going along, people sort of there we are. We did the Celtic. We did the Viking longboat last week, and we had quite a positive reaction with it. And people are asking about making it. Can they pay for the designs? They're all for free on our website, because we never stand still, really, do we?
Yeah,
we're always on to a new thing, a new idea.
When you're taught, what's the word? When you're taught in school and you're taught a system, right?
Yeah.
We unfortunately or fortunately,
we didn't listen.
We don't fit. We don't fit the.
We don't. No.
What is sort of the most sensible thing to do then?
Yeah.
We tend to.
We
make the
basically
mistake and then try and work it out.
Yeah, I mean, in school, I remember being very frustrated, because they'd ask you to design something, and then they'd say, "Now think of an alternative." And I don't want to think of an alternative. I want to make it. And so what I would do is I would make it. It's very interesting, isn't it, in terms of how we were taught? That's what they'd say. I'd go up to the teacher and I go, "Look, I've designed this."
Yes, go away and improve it.
And they go, "Right, now go away and come up with an alternative."
Yeah.
And I'd be like, "But I don't want to come up with an alternative. I want to make this."
Yeah. I know it's very immature, because we tend not to have the patience to sort of draw your design and look at it and then change and all.
Yeah.
But we are not engineers in that same sense.
No, and the thing is, though, is that we end up where we do improve things, but the original, we also have that original that we made.
Yeah.
And the one person likes the original, another person may like the adaptation.
Yeah. What I was going to say, though, much more, the way I ask some of these questions is very important. Mental health.
Oh, absolutely.
And if people are sort of finding it difficult at the moment, then
you're not the only ones.
That's right. It isn't easy for people out there.
No, it isn't.
And it's just a question of hanging on.
Yeah.
But look, whilst
the wheel.
There's two things here.
The wheel always turns.
Yeah, and there's two things here.
Yeah.
You're looking at that design.
Yeah.
Right? But I'm looking beyond that design, because that wood that you're using, right? If I can just put that in front of the camera, right? Go. It's got a lot of holes ready to be cut. But that wood, from that's what it does for my mental health. I start looking at that wood and the beauty in that wood.
Cutting this one out, you get the beautiful smell of that wood as well.
Exactly.
Yeah. And it's a lovely. I mean, we do the live streams and things, but I'm sitting here cutting this out, and I'm really enjoying it. Thoroughly enjoying it.
Yeah.
And I'm looking and I'm thinking, and I'm thinking to myself then as well. I'm thinking, this is the juniper from Yully's dad's town. I'm thinking we may take one of these with us on holiday to show them and share this with them.
And that's right. And that's what wood does. It takes you to a different place.
Yeah. And we've had a few people in today, because we've been very, very quiet with the workshop, unusually quiet for ourselves. But we've had a few people in today, and the positive I take out of today, I spent a bit more time than possibly I normally would sharing stuff, explaining to them.
Yeah.
And every single one said, I've really enjoyed this.
I mean, that there now is
It's
a piece of teak.
What's teak, is it?
Yeah.
I thought it was... Why did I think there was something else?
Yeah. I mean, you look at the little bit there, and you can see the colouring there, for instance, that lighter colouring and inside. And that's what, oh, look at that inside there. You've got that light colour there. It's still almost green.
Well, do you know...
But that's been... where did we get that from? That window.
It was window and door frames that nobody...
So
nobody
it's probably
wants.
80 years...
And they were going to throw that. They were going to throw that.
Yeah.
That would either be burnt or go to landfill.
Yeah.
What a crime
And then,
that
of course,
is.
you got the
perfume.
smell. I know it's
And
a
the
shame.
oily- the
It's a
oily
shame we
dust.
can't pass the smell of that on, because
I
it
know.
is absolute. You got the contrast of the smell of the juniper, and then the smell of that teak, and you know, there's so much more. You know, whilst I talk about the financial side
I've thrown it on the
you
floor.
know, of getting the right price for it, it's, you know, it is priceless in you know, the smell of that wood.
The things you've seen, because I thought you were working on a new designer box.
No.
When I saw that. So,
No.
yeah, so it's an egg cup.
Yeah, it's the old egg cup, the
Right.
first one we started with.
Let's have a look now. We've got 6 cuts to go. Hopefully this will, this will come out. Right, so that's well on its way. 2 more internal cuts. And yeah, we will, we got that 1 external cut cutting out the surround. And we'll be there. That'll be job done, all going well. Let's have a quick check. Have we missed anything? No, we haven't missed anything. Good, good. Yeah, so I mean, you can see a nice design, and I'm pleased with how it's coming together, and a nice one to cut out. And that's the beauty of working, you know, this scroll saw, the Hegner and the Nickwa blades combined. They're capable of doing some really intricate stuff, and we're cutting out those 3 layers at the same time. So all going well. I've noticed there are a few little splits in the wood, so hopefully we're not going to completely lose one of the layers. So all going well. We'll have 3 nice pieces that we can work with. An interesting one as well, one that Michael, hello if you're watching again, Michael, or if you're watching us on playback. Yeah, you were pointing out that most scroll sawers have a preference for scrolling either clockwise or anti-clockwise. And so I've been thinking about that as well as I'm doing this, and I think most of the time I do scroll clockwise, but I also scroll anti-clockwise depending on what, you know, what I'm cutting and what I'm doing as well. So yeah, an interesting, have a little think next time you're scroll sawing, which direction do you generally scroll saw in? But I'd never really thought about that before. But yeah, predominantly clockwise, but I also scroll saw anti-clockwise as well. Right, can we just get that last? What it is, we're just tidying up little loose bits of wood that have just not cut away as we're going along. That's how it's looking on the back. There's an annoying piece of wood that won't come out of there. Perhaps I'll go back over that quickly.
the same blade you started with?
It is indeed.
It looks as if it's,
It's at the end of its working life.
I think so.
And I just noticed it just starting to burn a little bit in places.
I can see the smoke coming off it, yeah.
Yeah, that one though, interestingly, this one I've noticed when I cut it on the big saw, it does smoke quite a lot. This wood,
Right.
yeah, it smokes quite loudly. So when you're cutting it out, but it cuts very nicely. Right, we cut out the surround and yeah, see how much work we've got left then afterwards that we're going to have to go over just to tidy everything.
I know what you could do, if you cut the surround and then just sand the top one and shellac it.
Yeah, we'll see how it all comes out because we got a few issues. As I said, there's a few splits. We may lose one of these layers. We'll see how it comes out.
You're not going to put a new blade in.
Oh, apologies. We just hit our head on the camera. Okay. Work cutting that around. Ooh. Right, so now one thing we point out straight away, we put this on the belt sander.
Yeah.
So we get a better finish, sand it all round.
Do you want me to go and sand that down? If I sand
I don't worry too much.
Well, I will.
Oh, okay.
I'll sand it round here. Right?
There we are.
Just to take the.
So Thomas Wood Carver will sand that one down and then you bring it back and you can just see, you'll be able to see the finished item. Right, whilst he's doing that, we've always got something else to be working on, so we just very quickly have a little look at cutting out this one. Yeah, so that's all been sanded down on the surround. So that's the top layer. Let's just take it apart.
This one
Yeah.
actually, it came apart on the
machine.
it's separated, you know.
Yeah, because what I do is when I'm stacking layers together, I add the super glue. I'm looking for that scroll saw blade, and I just realised you got it. And so because I stack it together using the super glue, we generally get it to the outside edges. And that's the second layer. That's got a little bit of work just to sort it out a little bit. I've been over that one. The bottom layer is actually a bit better because Thomas Woodcarver sorted it all out.
Use the shellac.
I tell you what, probably best we put a little bit of shellac on the bottom layer there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. But it just shows you can cut out those 3 items. So if you're doing intricate items again, we recommend stack cutting for your scroll sawing. But it just shows you if you're working on something intricate, you can get a few intricate items cut out at the same time. There we are.
Again, we're back to, you know, the advantage of using this particular shellac. I can handle it, you see, and it dries so quickly. And this wood, I mean, it soaks it up like a sponge. It does.
Yeah. There we are. And so you can see
That's your first coat.
cut out a simple little tree of life. Thank you again for joining us. Hopefully that's been
am I right in
interesting.
thinking you'll be drilling a hole? Would you be drilling a hole there?
Quite possibly what I will do from here is to bore a hole in the top, put a loop,
A little
and then
loop
we
there.
have it as a hanging decoration.
There we are.
So we've got these like metal stands. I know the carver's got them as well. And then we'll bore a hole in the top, put one of those hangers on it, and have it as a hanging
Right.
tree of life decoration. What I will also do on here as well, I'll do some wood carving. That layer, you can see we've got a little bit of work to do just to make sure that
Yeah, I tell you what you can do
doesn't
with
come
that.
out.
I mean, that again is a good example of what you can
see
do when you
there's-
get something like
there's
that.
a splinter
because-
just for this. We may have to.
Yeah, but you can make it like a rustic,
Yeah.
You know,
create an effect with
the
it.
chisel.
Yeah.
Depending on how far that.
goes quite deep, so we'll have
Yeah.
to. We'll probably stabilise that. So, bit of a plug at the end. The star bond will come in useful for that job.
Yeah.
Thank you all for joining us. Hope you all have a great week, and as always, we'll be back again soon. Thank you all again.